Hi, I'm Lauren from LSP Actions. In this tutorial, I'm going to walk you through this image starting here. This is our straight out of camera image and finishing here. And that's all using the LSP Portrait Studio Vogue Finesse Photoshop actions. This is a watch me edit, although I'm going to explain everything I do and why I choose it and how it works. But for the complete tutorial, please do watch video tutorials #1 because this walks you through every single step and section of these actions, including best practices, what they do, how to use them, organised in workflow order. So let's dive in and get started. So let's dive into this edit. We're going to do, I want a fine art edit. I want to kind of get the reds out of this. Looking at it, I want it kind of more into the greens and the blues and get some texture on the background and balance these skin tones out. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're just going to crop down just a little bit, straightening that background. Just realised my ratio is off, so I'm just going to set that in Photoshop and just get the nicest crop that I can for this particular image. And then after that I'm going to flatten this down. Okay. So let's go into the edit. I'm going to add a little bit of contrast to start with the contrast boom action. I'm actually going to paint this off any areas I don't want the contrast to show. So you see there before and after, so we're working on darkening the background down. And next up, I think I'm going to recover some of the highlights and the whites in this image by playing highlight recover. And I'm just going to take this off down the bottom here because her face is quite in the shadow. She's so little, she's kind of below the light there. Next up, we're into the base section, the portrait base. I think for this one, I'm going to play the fine art base because I do want a rich kind of toned finish to this one. And the darkness, I'm just going to paint. A black brush is already selected. The brush is set to 100% opacity and 25% flow, so I'm just painting that off here. And now we're into the image enhance section. I'm going to play highlights on white saver again because the light is hitting his face right here. And a lighten dodge brush just to lighten up some of these shadowed areas. So I really want a contrast edit, but I also don't want to lose any areas of this image to too much shadow, especially around the faces of our subjects. I'm going to just lighten up these areas of shadow here, just balancing that background out just a little bit. We don't want anywhere going too black. And now we're coming down into the skin prep, ready for skin retouch. I'm going to hit brighten face, bring this down, and I'm just going to brighten her face up a little bit. So what I'm trying to do is just balance these faces out and hit a little bit of contour shading, and again we're going to just darken this face here. So you can see now from where we were before and after, we've really kind of tweaked that lighting in and balanced the image out even more. I think what I'm going to do, back on fine art base, with a black brush is just take off a little bit here where we're causing a little bit of banding. So that's a good thing about clicking these on or off so you can see where you're at. Now we're into skin retouch. Because there's not a lot to do with the skin and the subject's quite small in the frame, I'm just going to play the first one, 00, blemishes and pore. And what this is going to do, I'm just going to zoom in, I grab a brush is already set, it's just going to take away any little blemishy areas of the skin. It's just doing a tidy up here. Let me use that as well on this hair coming over. I'm going to use that to kind of calm down the writing on the hand, and then a little bit later in the manual section I can remove this properly. I can't even remember what that said. I promise you it's not a bad word. You see it's kind of there. It's a bit like laser tattoo removal. It's still showing, but we've calmed it down a little bit with that action. Yeah, a little bit on the legs. Just any blemishes on those feet. All about the details. Next up, we're in Skin Retouch Extra. I don't think we need any of those for this image. We put a little bit of honey foundation just to brighten up the skin down here. So with this image, you can watch the full complete editing tutorials for this set. You can watch tutorials number 1 where I walk you through everything. This is a watch me edit over my shoulder. I'm going to play a little bit of lip colour here, just this little one down here. We're just going to bring a little colour into the lips. And on the skin foundations, just a little bit of cheek blush. Just because we want that fine art kind of finish here, so we want to add a little bit of dimensionality to the skin and the faces. You can double click on these at any point and you can change the toning a little bit just to suit your image. I'm going to come on sharpen lashes and brows because we do want to make these eyes pop and the brows pop. So this is going to darken and sharpen around the eyes any way you paint this on. Ooh. My keyboard shortcuts are playing up a little bit. Since we're adding that kind of, adding that pull, that draw to our image. Iris and Catchlight Enhance. I'm going to play this one. And just add some light back into the eyes. I like to add this on the opposite side of the Catchlight. Just clicking a few times. Just to add that in there. So the darkness of the eyes, you kind of get that reflection in because the eyes are so important in a portrait. They're probably the most important part. You've got to have everything right, but if the eyes aren't right. I'm going to play Bright Eyes as well and just dab a little bit of this on. Where I darkened his skin down, I also caught the eyes a touch. Now everyone's matching quite nicely. I think with the skin, I think I might go with a soft silky skin because I do really want that kind of real fine art retouch, but I don't want to lose too much of the detail. So I'm just going to lightly come over with the soft silky skin. Just smoothing down any little bits of noise and grain, but only lightly. And I'm going to fix that hair coming across her face as well. I believe legs in a portrait and feet is one area you can afford to soften as long as it works with your image. Okay, I'm getting a lot more fine art kind of vibes in there now. I'm going to play the stray hair skin action. This is quite a strong action, so we want to come in quite lightly just to help kind of get rid of, minimise the stray hairs on the skin here. It really does depend on the size of your portrait as to what you can achieve with any of the actions. So if any of these at any point, things like the stray hair are not giving you the exact results you want, that's the reason I've put the manual Photoshop actions in there as well. For example, here we have frequency separation. The texture layer is already selected for you, so I'm just going to grab Spot Healing Brush and just use this really gently in these areas. Just remove some of those little fluffy bits of hair there. On this stray hair removal, you also have, let me just bring that up for you, you also have stray hairs on the background. This works better for seamless backgrounds because it does add a little bit of blurring to the background. So if you've got a highly detailed background, again, you're probably better off using some frequency separation there. But I'm just getting rid of some of these stray hairs using the action. Just smoothing them down a little bit. At this point next, I am also going to do a little bit of manual retouching in the advanced retouch section. A spot and healing layer setup. This is going to create a duplicate layer, and I'm going to come up to liquify. The spot and healing, but you can do anything because on the hair here, this is coming through a little bit flat. So I'm just going to grab super quickly this brush and just round it off a little bit and lift his quiff a little bit. Also puff her hair back out as well, just a touch, and perhaps now we're here, bring the shirt in because it was a little bit big for him. So just bringing it into his body shape and hit OK. And the thing I'm going to do is make another spot healing layer set up, and I'm going to set this is a manual thing you can do, is set it to colour because I want these shirts to match a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is sample on my brush, sample a tone of this shirt, and I'm just going to paint it over this one. And you can see it's only affecting the colour. Now our shirts are matching a lot better. Being quite careful to try not to get this on the background, although my brush is fluffy. So what I'm going to do is set the brush to black and just paint that off the background a little bit. And now you see our shirt is matching a lot nicer. You can take the opacity down if you want to, just a little. And now we have a nice match between the shirts and the tones in our image. So now we've done that, let's work on the background. Again, I'm going to create another healing layer setup. You can do this by duplicating all layers. And I'm just going to do a little bit of healing just while we're here. On the background section, you can play the minimize floor and wall crease, or you can use a frequency separation, or you can just paint or patch or clean. As with everything in Photoshop, there's so many ways you can do the same thing. And this action's great if you've got a semi-matching floor and wall, because we can just use this now to just lightly paint over that crease. You see that? Before and after. So we've just balanced the crease out a little bit. Just gently. And now we're into the final section. I think I wanted to get that greeny blue tone in the background, so I'm going to play Drake. And what this is going to do is going to give us that beautiful kind of film green tone to the image, a beautiful film matte. The cool thing you can do in the texture paint section, see where it's red, select the subject. You can use this for any of the actions that you want to make a quick subject selection to paint off. So we're back on Drake now, and I'm just going to paint this lightly off the skin. Just a little bit. You see that before and after? So we've really kind of muted those reds in the image and added that fine art kind of wash. To balance it out, I might play a little bit of Louvre. This is a fine art kind of museum tone, but again, I want to paint this off the subjects because we don't want it too yellow or too green. And same with Drake, just a little bit there. And perhaps one more hit of Drake. I'm going to come to the top. And again off. So I'm just going through these and tailoring them. You'll probably find, depending on what you want to do, that you don't have to paint them off too much. But for a very specific edit that I'm trying to get right here, I really want that kind of the red tone washed out. So let's see where we were and where we are now. So we've gone into a much more fine art finish. At this stage, I would add one of the LSP Camden textures or the Kensington textures to the background. They work really beautifully, and you can find those on the LSP Actions website. But because we're sticking within Portrait Vogue, I've also included some textures in here that you can use. For example, we could use, which one should we try? How about Dark Rough? And you can see that has created, all within Photoshop, an actual texture on the background. See there, before and after? And we can use our subject selection, just simply alt click that, or you can manually paint it off the skin. Textures are fine, I find, on clothes in general, but not so much on skin. And now we're into our finishing touch section down here. One last image polish. I'm going to hit polish to finish. I love this on all the actions, all the images I'm using at the moment, to slide that up a little bit. And a vignette. Vignette darkens those edges. Because we're already quite dark at the top and the brush is already selected, I'm just going to take this vignette off some of the edges at the top and these areas here. And I'm really happy with that edit. So let's see before and after. and that is using the Portrait Vogue Finesse for Studio Portrait and Fine Art Images. You can grab this over on the LSP Actions website under lsp-actions.com. I hope you love using these actions as much as I loved creating them. Super fun, really great, really intuitive, and you can watch the full tutorial of exactly how to use these, and everything's included in every section on the LSP Actions website. I'm Lauren, thanks for watching.